Hey everybody, and welcome to another Jamovi tutorial. In this tutorial, I am going to go over a new module that was released to the Jamovi modules, added modules, so to speak, over here in the add modules area, the plus sign, as I like to call it. Before we get started, I am using the most recent version of Jamovi, version 2.2.3. There we go. That is recent. I think this month they updated it since 2.0, the big one earlier, a few months ago. Earlier in 2021. These are just bug fixes and general improvements. So nothing too new that we need to go over, that we need to update as far as previous videos on the channel. So let's go ahead and talk about this new module. It's the test module. It's really cool. I played around with it a little bit ago when I first saw that it joined the new Jamovi library. So let's go ahead and jump into, so we clicked on that and we have Jamovi library managed installed. Honestly, these take you to the same window. And let's go through what is available. And I will update some of these another time. But what I do need to do, I really, devs, please put this in alphabetical order. That would be lovely. Where are you? There it is. Z-Test Viz by W. Joel Schneider conducts a one sample t-test. So we're going to install that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. It threw it up here in miscellaneous because it's flashing, which is good. So we know where it is. One sample t-test. It's getting a little cut off by the window here, but that's all right. Again, devs, also a way to scroll on this top bar here. Scroll. Yeah, I'm doing side scroll. I'm doing up and down scroll. Yeah, it doesn't work. We need scroll. Scroll search. No, it's secret invasion. Scrolls, please. No, I need a scroll for the top bar. But anyways, there's the Z-Test Viz. We'll jump into that and we will look. See, now the cool thing about this, before you even touch any of this, it's not a hypothesis testing module like the actual Z-Test is. This module is a teaching tool, is a data visualization tool. So we only put in certain parameters and then it will change the way we the way that things look. Okay, so it'll do the one sample Z-test for us, and then it will tell us the decision, and then it will plot this. So it will show us the critical region down here, okay, in this mean sample of 55, and then over and above the population here, right? So we set the population mean, we set the population standard deviation, and then we have a sample, right, which is our one sample t-test. And the critical region will tell us if we need to reject the null hypothesis. So it'll tell us to reject if it's greater than 53.58 or less than 46.42, and those are what these lines here are. Okay, so by default, what it opens it is a sample mean of 55, a null population mean of 50, a null population of standard deviation. I would really like if these were not called null populations, but just population parameters, because we have mu and sigma. So I mean, that should work, but they use little m for the sample mean. I suppose that's fine. I don't know, maybe X bar. Maybe it's a little harder to do X bar in this graphical user interface, but capital M if you want to be APA about it. Sample size is n, and then we have an alpha level of usually 0.05, and then we can do our two-tailed or our one-tailed test. So you can show tests for one tail for greater than, so over here, or one tailed less for over here. So there you go. So if you want to change this to 100, change this to 15. Now, what you'll notice is that the Z-plot will always stay in the same, like everything will always stay the same. The dot here represents the sample mean. The dot always is the sample mean. So if we have a distribution of sample means here, okay, inside our greater population distribution, then with our standard error, which is sigma divided by the square root of n, okay, so we have those two values here, we'll end up with a standard error of where this is around 100. But of course, if we leave our sample mean at 55, then we definitely know we are going to reject the null hypothesis because our observed z is negative 16.4. But of course, so what I've set up here, is the IQ, 115 standard deviation, okay? So let's say you end up with a, I don't know, you did an IQ test online, you got 100, we got 120 there. Okay, so put our sample mean over here, and let's say our sample size is actually an n of 1. I don't know, can it do n of 1? Yeah, it does. Okay, so what it'll do is it'll widen this. So if we make this 100, you can see how skinny it gets. Look at how skinny it gets, because our standard error is getting smaller and smaller as we increase our sample size. Look how tiny that is. I bet there's a point at which we just get a little dot. Yeah, there you go, a little arrow there, right? Because our standard error is 0.67. So we definitely know that a sample mean of 120 is going to be an extreme value, right? We are definitely going to reject the null hypothesis. So if we just do an n of 1, however, if we go back to just you taking the test, right? So we have our IQ, population, and standard deviation. You got a score of 120, and sample size is 1. would we reject the z-test at this point? And the answer would be no for a two-tailed test, right? We would retain the null hypothesis. I would prefer to fail to reject, but be that as it may. And that's because here in our sample mean, our standard error is 15 because we only have a sample size of 1. Square root of 1 is 1, 15 divided by 1 is 15. So there we go. And so to be able to reject the null hypothesis for a two-tailed test, you need to have an IQ of almost twice the average, 2 standard deviations above the average, right? So so that's what would happen if we did that. Now, but what would happen if we changed it to a one-tailed greater than test? Well, still not enough. This is where we take the 0.05 alpha and then we put it all on the one side. And of course, we still don't reject the null hypothesis. We fail to reject it. Okay. Retain, fail to reject. And that's because 120 is still outside of this red critical region, which is 124.67. Now, if you got a score of 125, oh boy, got a score of 125, we can see what happens there. We will reject the null hypothesis just if we are just using p-values here. Now, the effect size is also a great thing because our effect size is the same thing as our z. It's essentially a Cohen's d for the z-score, which will tell us how far away these two samples are from each other. So if we were to actually put this distribution over here, like over here, right, and then we have a difference, this would be a suggestion for future development of this module, right? So we have a dotted line going up here, and then we have this one going down this way. That'll tell you how far apart they are, and that effect size is 1.67. That tells you how far apart they are, and you can see that it's essentially the same z, okay, 1.67. So that is the new one sample z-test module. Again, a teaching module. You can only change the values that go into the module itself. So this is our z-test ability in Jamovi, adding this module. So there you have it, folks. That's how you mess with and use the one sample z-test module, add-on module in Jamovi. If you like this video, consider leaving a like. If you like this content, consider subscribing for more of these kinds of tutorials. Thanks for watching. Bye.